John Ashworth lived in Rochdale in the 1800s. He was born into a very poor family, but he spent his life helping others and sharing the love of God with all the people he met. As a young man, he had a vision of Christ. He believed Jesus died on the cross to forgive his sins, and from then on he devoted himself to serving God and preaching the message of God's love in Rochdale and beyond. John Ashworth opened a chapel for the destitute in Rochdale and had published a series of books called Strange Tales, which are factual accounts of some of the experiences in his own life and in the lives of the people he met. These tales sold in their millions and became the means by which many people came to faith in Christ. Even Queen Victoria requested a copy of John Ashworth's Strange Tales. John Ashworth died in 1875, and on the day of his funeral, the people of Rochdale lined the streets in memory of this loving and inspirational man of God. In January 2025, it will be 150 years since John Ashworth's death. The following reflections are from one of John Ashworth's Strange Tales. They are believed to have been composed in the grounds of Bamford Chapel, where Mr. Ashworth had many connections and where his own parents are buried. That mysterious law of association, by which the sound of bells, the scent of flowers, the falling of a leaf, or any other incident, calls up from memory's storehouse thoughts and feelings long since cherished but almost forgotten, seems by the order of Providence to be a wise arrangement by which the events of the past shall bear some relation to the things of the present and often to the future, binding together in a series of links, generation after generation, making of all one vast family, so that anything affecting one, in some degree, affects all. The falling of a leaf one calm evening in autumn became the parent of these reflections. The sun had just sunk down behind the hills, tinging the heavens with the purple hues of his departing glory. Placid night hung out her sable pall, veiling the distant objects from view. And silence, with her mighty eloquence, poured her strange language on the pensive soul. I sat where I had often loved to sit, beneath the outstretched branches of the balsam poplar. The stillness of the evening was so intense that the striking of the hour of 9 by the bell of old St. Chad's reverberated through the dale. And when the undulating sound had died away, the silence was more profound, but broken at length by the tick, tick, tick of a falling leaf, as it dropped from branch to branch, resting finally at my feet. Thoughts unbidden came at the sight of that leaf, as it now lay amongst its dead companions. What a lesson if wisely read! How emblematical of this life's changes! How descriptive of relatives and friends who have dropped from their various spheres and now lie in the dust. Never on any previous occasion had so many of those departed ones been brought back to memory. Friends old and young, rich and poor, from towns and hamlets, churches and marts, seemed to gather around me. It was a moment of subdued pleasure. I could not literally shake hands with them, as in bygone days, but I was glad they had stood before me, though only for a few moments. I never could discover a reason why anyone should fear holding mental communion with those departed dear ones, whose company we so much loved when living. They may or may not be unconscious of those sweet recollections that will not say to them farewell. We still see their smiling faces, hear their merry laugh, or listen to their cheerful song. We walk with them in the field, sit with them in the garden, mingle our psalms, our hymns and prayers. Their well-known opinions govern many of our actions. What we know they would have thought, or what we think they would have done, exercises no small influence on what we think and what we do. Is it not well for us that it is so? Many of the joys of the present spring from the joys of the past, and no small portion from a remembrance of those we have loved. But the great mistake is when we make what might be one source of softened gladness a cause of pain and sadness, murmuring and repining when we ought to calmly submit, and where submission would indicate the truest wisdom. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away was no foolish expression, for the dead are like the stars by day withdrawn from mortal eye, but not extinct, they hold their way in glory through the sky.